Welcome, welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We always have a lot of content on these, so as folks roll in, we'll let them join. So my name is Erica. I'm on the communities team here at VMUG. And if this is your first VMUG event, welcome. We're glad you're here. Um, VM, VMUG is a VMware user group, an independent customer-led organization created to maximize members' use of VMware and partner solutions through knowledge sharing, training, and collaboration in events. A few just housekeeping items for today. Please get connected to a local VMUG community near you at my.vmug.com. We're going to use the Q&A function for the panelists today. They will be able to answer questions live as well as in the Q&A throughout the webcast. So please keep it there. We can keep the chat for the fun stuff. And then this session is being recorded, and a recording will be distributed in the wrap-up email as well as available on the VMUG YouTube. You can find all future VMUG webcasts there on the link on the left, and then you can find all the remaining VCF 9 series on the right. This is number 3 out of 4. We have a really great panel next week with some experts in the field, so you'll definitely want to make sure you register for that. And then VMUG is traveling, so we'll be at Explore on tour stops as well as VMUG user cons. And a special call out that John Schulz, speaker today, will be at the Dallas Fort Worth user con, so make sure to stop and say hi. I'm going to kick it over to Christopher on the team, and thank you all so much for being here.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for being here. Absolutely. Can I find my share button? Will it work? You guys can probably see this. Welcome, VCF 9 Operations Unleashed, which I retitled, Let's Do an Hour of Demos and Q&A. As I kick off into a little introduction, you guys know me, and if you don't, you can go definitely check us out at various QR codes we've displayed on the screen. Here's also those QRs for the last couple sessions, this session, hey, part 3, and next week's session right there. You can also check out I'm dancing in my chair a lot. You can check out our October 2-hour Ask Me Anything expert panel, which will be an amazing event next month, and you can subscribe to the newsletter here. But John, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit while I leave these on screen before we kick off into demo time and obviously Q&A time. Definitely ask your questions in the Q&A and chat, please. Thank you. John.
That's right. Hey, folks, John Schulz here. I am an ops and automation specialist these days, and I've been with VMware for about 20 years now, and have moved across the compute, storage, and network disciplines. So I'm happy to be here and supporting this webinar.
That's awesome. And you are no stranger to everything we've gone through in the world of virtualization technology, the evolution of that, but especially the evolution and adoption of VCF 9. So let's get into, I'm going to stop screen sharing and you're going to get into party time. Party time? Party, I don't know, party town? Whatever happens to be. All right. Where you can start showing stuff, and I'm gonna furiously look at that chat and that Q&A, and we're gonna find everything that everybody wants to see. So this is gonna be, I'm gonna have a blast. I know you guys are. I'm gonna stop my video to make it easier for you.
All right. I might do the same. So let's see here. All right. Well, Christopher, this is probably a good place to start. This is the VCF 9 Ops console. Might look unique from a visual perspective. We've streamlined a lot of the pieces and parts and moved them into VCF Ops. And no, I'm thinking maybe we'll start on the license management side. That's what's drawing my attention right now. One thing that is being moved into Ops is the management of your licenses across the environment. There are a couple different ways to register ops with Broadcom. You can either do it in a connected mode, or you can do it in a disconnected mode, which is what I'm doing here. That's great for a dark site or an environment that does not have access to the internet. And the way that you would do this is you're going to register with the Broadcom portal. You are going to select a site ID where your licenses are located. And then your license entitlement will be downloaded directly into Ops. And you can then assign those licenses to the the vCenters across your environment directly here from ops. So there are no license keys to fool with. You don't have to worry about copying and pasting keys and that type of effort. So this is designed to make the management of the environment a little bit smoother, streamlined, simple. One thing you can also do from here is assign your add-on licenses, those licenses that you add on the great features and functions like Avi, vDefend, on and on. That is all going to be pulled in here to this environment. And then we can check out the usage analytics again from ops to see what type of consumption we're seeing of those cores across your environment. So
now, John, because you're looking at the realm of licensing, this is all for things that you license that have a 9 in the name, right? vSphere 9, VCF Operations 9, Verni 9, vSAN 9, but not anything I'm running 8 or older. Is that a fair? I mean, I know it's a fair point, but I'm just saying it for your edification.
Right. That is a fair statement. However, we do have the ability to import our pre-version 9 licenses into the environment here to be able to visualize and see those here too. But you're
Visualize and
right.
see, but it's still managed separately inside your vCenters or wherever you're loading in those license keys. Those keys are still being
Exactly.
handled key related elsewhere.
Right. That's one thing that you pick up with VCF 9 is the ability to leverage this licensing model. So hopefully that's a benefit to folks. And yeah, definitely. Very good. So that's the license management. How about, Christopher, we jump into some of your favorite features along with the certificate and passwords?
I love it. Yeah. How have certificates changed over the years? Or
Well,
even over
one,
the versions of the last 3 versions alone?
yeah. This is the cool feature. One that we can take a look at here quickly. So in the certificate panel under fleet management in ops, I can see the certificate expiration dates. I can see the different components that are in my environment, both from a VCF standpoint, as well as from an SDDC standpoint. So your SDDC manager, your NSX managers, and then you can also see your ESX hosts in here as well. And this is helpful. Nobody likes to come into work and find that your ESX hosts are disconnected and that they're no longer manageable due to a certificate issue. That's never happened to me. Christopher, has that ever happened to you?
No, that's never happened every time.
No. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is a great visualization of your certificate expiry dates. There's a quick visual above this panel. Obviously, you can see the certificate status and different components here. But this is a great way to monitor and manage your certificates from the ops console. We can even enable active auto renewal here. And so that is something that is designed to, again, simplify the management and monitoring of your environment, whether you're using a Microsoft CA, OpenSSL type thing. We can get that configured here and then activate the auto renewal functionality so that your certificates are easier to manage.
Now, John, there are some great questions already flowing in the Q&A that I wanna address. Now, for the people who are asking these questions in Q&A, we're gonna type answers as well, but we also want to talk to some of them. So, an amazing question came through saying, "Hey, I thought, do we require a separate cluster with a bunch of management VMs? Like, what's the minimum number of hosts to deploy? Can you talk about that?" And there's even a separate question around, can we run in a mixed environment running vCenter 8 or older? And if you want to, like, I'm stealing you away from passwords, but jump right into that lifecycle import management type experience around, if you know what I mean.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so let's tackle that first one about the environment, management nodes, minimum number of hosts, that type of thing. And so in the past, we've talked about two different designs. There was a consolidated design where you had a management domain and also run your workloads in that same domain. And then there were customers that chose to create a separate management domain and then have individual workload domains. We've kind of gone away from that nomenclature, and we're now using a single domain. So I can deploy a 4-node cluster. I usually recommend 4 nodes because it's best to run vSAN on 4 nodes, just so that you have some capability to rebuild and whatnot. Now, you can also leverage that same domain to do both management and deploy workloads. One thing that I'll back up on there, Christopher, is I said 4 nodes for vSAN, but with VCF 9, we've opened up that storage functionality. So we no longer require vSAN in the management domain. We recommend it, but there are other options and some flexibility there. So that is the answer to one of your questions about, can we run management components and workloads in the same deployment? Yes, you can absolutely do that.
Because that is a huge myth I would often hear is, because don't get me wrong, like you just stated, it is nice to be like, hey, if I've got a dedicated management cluster for these things, I run my Active Directory over here, I run these other pieces there. Absolutely, you can do that, but you're not forced to. Wait, John, you're telling me I need 4 pieces of hardware carved out just to run VROPs? Because that's kind of the feedback that's gotten on it. And the answer is no. You can run the rest of your workloads in there. You could have be 64 nodes, and some of those have to be running operations and so forth, but it can be running the rest of that workload infrastructure. You don't feel like you have to bucketize everything into 4-node variants and instances, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are different models to deploy VCF. There are certainly HA deployments where you have quite a few appliances in the environment that do consume resources, but provide that failover capability there for you. You can also go in a slimmed down version if you prefer, and not deploy every single appliance in an HA configuration. So that is an option as well. VCF 9 tries to, and it does, in fact, provide additional flexibility on how it's deployed, whether that's the number of appliances or the types of storage, for instance, that you're using underneath to support it.
And now, again, still in the realm of licensing, but Brian had a great question I want to touch on. All right, so we are still using, so we're not using the consolidated infrastructure nomenclature anymore, but we are using the management and domain and workload domain nomenclature effectively. So, and Brian's question is, what if I want to run a 2-node cluster of VCF without vSAN? And so to answer that, just straight on that is, as a management domain, it's 4 nodes, right? It's a 4-node minimum requirement. But there is support for 2-node clusters for various breakouts of different things as those workload domains, those old like robo clusters. If you refer to like the VCF 9 like 2-node deployment guide, there's just lots of different deviations. Did we cover some of this last week? I feel like we covered some of this last week in the check out last week's video. Yeah, that's a good one. Which is in the registration link that Erica shared earlier. And we can drop in the chat as well. That will provide some of those pieces, but yeah, there are multi-node deployment with vSAN, without vSAN, with principal storage, the elements of supplemental storage and so forth that you can definitely take advantage of. Brian and others who may have questions around that. But go ahead, John. I know you've got so many things. We have so much time to look at stuff. I'm going to stop and let you talk about.
No, I just wanted to follow up on that point. And in this environment, well, there are a couple things here I'll show you. This is a vCenter. Many of you know that we've gone away from the linked mode that we've had in the past. This deployment I've actually configured with vCenter linking, which is the new and improved method to view multiple vCenters in a single.
Is this because enhanced link mode has been fully removed and you are required to move to enhanced linking in 9?
In 9, that is the case. Enhanced link mode must be broken, if I understand the process properly. And then when the environment is brought into VCF 9, the vCenter linking capability is leveraged to bring that all back together and to create the single view here that we're looking at. There's some flexibility in the new vCenter linking that's offered. So it's definitely an enhancement over the previous versions. And as you can see, it shows, I can see my different management environments here. I do have 2 workload domains and then a management domain that I'm working with here in this live environment. I did want to show that I do have a 2-node deployment. And we've seen this at customer sites that, Christopher, you mentioned Robo. We have some customers that run grocery stores, for instance, and they do use a 2-node deployment so that they have some HA functionality in the Robo or the grocery store locations. But that is something that can be done. There is definitely flexibility there. And now that vSAN is not necessarily a requirement, excuse me, there is some flexibility on reducing the number of recommended nodes in those workload environments. Again, VCF 9 is designed to provide some flexibility that we haven't had in the past.
And there's a lot of direction and guidance on these things inside that like 9,000 page guide, but it's one thing to have all the answers, and another thing to be able to ask it in context, to us and be like, what about this? And like, we're always happy to talk about these things and through these things, which is absolutely useful.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking
Any other
of
hot
Lifecycle
topics that you're seeing there that we should address right off?
No, well, we'll get to that. But speaking of Lifecycle, because I know you showed me something before, I'm like, damn, did you already cover that yet? Because I'm reading, I can't see the screen as much as I'm looking at everybody's questions.
I have not covered the life cycle. Oh, did you want to see the live
I did.
patch?
I did. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought you might be referring to. Well, let's preempt that a little bit with the configuration of patching, maybe in this environment. So, and then I'll jump to that patch specifically. So in VCF 9, in the lifecycle component here of fleet management, I have the ability to set up a depot. I can do an online depot or I can do an offline depot. I'm using an offline depot in this environment. However, I could connect directly to the Broadcom support portal and manage my binaries directly here in Ops. So this is pretty handy to be able to install, download, and stage install binaries for any number of versions of VCF. We can also look at patches. And Christopher, this is the patch you're looking at here. This is the first patch that's available. It happens to be a live patch, and you might ask, how do I know if it's a live patch or not? I can click on here and I'm into the release notes, and I can come down here and see that it is live patchable. That's one way to do it.
And if this were the 8 version of the same one, it would say live patchable no and give you a whole bunch of criteria where those no's say yes, correct?
Exactly, that's right. And the ability to live patch without having to put a host in maintenance mode, move all my workloads off to another host, patch, exit maintenance mode, bring those VMs back over. That's no longer a requirement with these live patches. So I can definitely tell it's a live patch there. And then also, if I come back into vCenter and look at my lifecycle manager configuration and the software depot, I can also see that indeed that is a live patch here. And so that ability to live patch my ESX host has been there for a while now. However, we've now enabled live patching for a much broader set of functionality within the environment. So we're hoping that 70% or so of the patches from here on out will be live patches, as opposed to something that's going to cause a significant maintenance window and big effort. Again, an effort to optimize the management and operation of the environment here. So that is the live patching. And that is the lifecycle
so many great
capability.
questions. Keep those questions flowing. I'm loving it. Hey, John. Well, it's really cool you can lifecycle this stuff. I remember back in the day, and the day is still today, that if I want to install like a management pack, that's a painful experience. Does it get easier in VCF Ops 9?
Oh, that's a good question. So management packs. So we're talking about coming down here to the integration portion of the product and looking at the marketplace. And no longer do I have to click around, search for where those management packs might be located. I can see them directly now here in Ops. I can download them and stage them. I can take a look at which ones I've downloaded, which ones are available in the repo, and which ones are configured here directly in the product. So hopefully that simplifies the management of the management packs, Christopher.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Yeah.
it's a really great question around coexistence of VCF 9, VCF Ops 9, and like a VCF 5.2, and I'll throw in there a non VCF like 8 type of environment. Like, what does coexistence look like managing, supporting that type of experience?
That's a great question. And I think it was asked earlier. I don't know that we covered it. So this is a good point to look at that. So let's look at an environment that it's not a VCF environment, but we want to deploy ops into that environment, ops 9, that is. We can certainly do that. It's an OVA that we can deploy, and then we can come into our integrations and we can add vCenters into ops for management. We can add VCF environments into that Ops 9 deployment. So the ability to deploy this in a separate environment, and in fact in an 8 environment, would be something that is certainly possible to do, and immediately start getting the benefits. Now, you're not going to see some of those certificate and password type benefits that you will see in 9. We're going to need to get your vCenter, get ESX hosts into a 9 version. However, the capabilities of monitoring, managing, capacity planning, assessing, all those features and functions that are enhanced in VCF 9 ops, you can certainly take advantage of there. Christopher, what other iterations do we need to talk about there to make sure we answer that question?
I think maybe we've addressed enough of those.
Okay.
Take us on more of a journey. There's I'm just addressing it. I mean, there's so many great questions, right? That's the I'm looking for more great questions. But what's some of your other favorite pieces and explicitly new 9 type things that you wanna 9 it up?
9 it up. Let's 9 it up. SSO is a huge feature, in my opinion.
So, okay.
Yes. Yes. So SSO across the environment is huge. So the ability to log into ops and then have that login carry with me through vCenter and even through to automation and that type of thing
Didn't we try to do
is,
this with VIDM? Right? That's what we
yeah,
used to do this with VIDM, and then we deprecated and removed VIDM in 9, right?
right. Yeah. So that's removed. Well, it's removed, but it's transitioned to VIDB, the identity broker. And one of the things that we talk about with the identity broker is the ability to leverage different identity providers, whether they be OIDC, SAML 2.0, LDAP, LDAP-S type deployments, and use those as an SSO provider. So Okta, Ping Federate, some of the ones that are very common out there, we can now pull those in and use that as a single sign-on across the entire environment. So I think this is a great example of how Broadcom is streamlining the portfolio and also providing a feature that we're thankful to have across the environment now.
And as I understand it, VIDB is deployed by default embedded inside of vCenter 9. But if you wanted to deploy a non-embedded appliance instance, we can do that right inside the Lifecycle Manager, right? Because you don't have it as a multi-deployment in your version, making it easy to deploy. Is that fair? I
Right.
mean, unless
Yep.
you've
Fair
since
enough.
then gone and actually add it to your environment. But last I remember is when you went to Lifecycle, you could go and deploy it.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's not in there in my environment, but you're right. It is included
So
embedded
your
in.
identity broker down there at the bottom, right?
Right. Right. So, and you can see I have not added it. Added it.
Not edited
It
it.
it
Yeah.
is not an additive in my deployment. Um, today. So yeah, Identity Broker is included in vCenter. It's deployed there. However, that is attached to your vCenter. So in an environment where you need to communicate with an external provider, we
Mhm.
recommend deploying a standalone version of VIDV. In fact, in a
Wait,
clustered mode.
vCenter on the internet's a bad idea? We want that to pop
eh,
up in like a Shodan repo or something?
I heard it was not such a great idea. My,
Less of a good idea.
my
And
audit
that
buddy
gives you
says that's not good.
reliability because if that vCenter goes down, then goes down your SSO integration. But by doing this with a 3-node identity broker deployment, you can do that
Yeah,
flexibly, right?
absolutely. Yep. And as we start talking a little bit more about things like VCF automation, the ability to provide individual tenants with their own identity source, identity broker plays a big part in that and how those are deployed. So you're right. And to deploy identity broker, it's just a matter of adding it through ops here, and that's a fairly automated process. So we would add and go through the process of adding that identity broker here, and then it could be managed just like the other integrated components that we've got here in the environment as well.
Hmm.
Yep.
Now, I know we're talking a lot about operations, but there's other exciting stuff that was released at 9. Any exciting things you would want to talk about? Or if you want to take a temperature of the room, you could, you've got that really cool visualization of an automation-y thing, right? That's a word,
Oh yeah,
automation-y.
yeah. Let's talk about the automation-y thing. And I do see our friend Aaron Gums asking about Okta. Absolutely, Okta is
Yes, you can
100%
do
support.
Okta. Look at you watching the chat.
Yeah, I
Aaron,
see
that'd be a
that.
great Q&A question, Aaron. No. No, but yeah,
Good
absolutely.
buddy.
Okta, PingFed, etc. Those Entra, those are some of the key ones that integrate with SSO. It's a thing. I know it's a thing.
I love it. All right. So this is actually a customer scenario that we were asked about. And it was basically, hey, I've got SSH enabled. I've discovered through an alert that I created that I have SSH enabled on one of my hosts. And this is 197. So just if I go back into my environment just for fun and I look, I think it's in here. Yeah, there's 197. I'm just going to come down here to these services that we're all familiar with, and I can see that SSH is indeed running. So we don't want that. Again, we don't want that, Christopher. That's a security hole that we want to close. So if I click on that, I have created a recommendation for this alert that is to disable SSH. And that's just it's a simple script that runs using Orchestrator. And so I have integrated an Orchestrator instance into ops to allow me to do things like disable SSH. So if I click that button, I am going to disable SSH on this host. That workflow has kicked off and will disable SSH from this on this host.
Wait a
Let's see
minute.
if we go back over.
Are you
Oh,
telling me that, oh, Phil, again, it stopped.
yeah,
You're
there it
telling
is.
me
Stop.
that operations, which is always aware of any metrics and operational changes inside my environment, can perform recommended actions and even execute on those actions in a real-time capacity throughout my environment out as but not like automation for deploying a VM or day twoing a VM, but being active and responsive to activities and actions that go on just day to day stuff I need to do anyway. But you're saying I can just have VCF operations just automate those functions if we make the decision for it to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we create the orchestrator integration here, we pull in 500 plus workflows that are just available in orchestrator out of the box, and that integrates with the ops platform to allow us to leverage those orchestrator events. And so we can simply apply an orchestrator instance to ops to get some of that functionality in here. And Christopher, let me. So we did this manually. However, the customer in this case said, "Hey, just tell me when SSH is enabled. I just want to know about it. However, if it's enabled for 60 minutes, shut it down automatically. We don't, somebody left it open on accident. We need to go ahead and shut it down." And so instead of clicking a button like this, we can certainly set up an action that's a recommendation to occur automatically. And I actually did a demo of this where we had a webhook notification sent. And by the time I got the webhook and came back in here, SSH had been disabled. It's pretty cool. The same customer also said, hey, you know what? I need to enable SSH occasionally, but I don't want to have to log into vCenter and go find the host, enable the service. And so I created an example here where I can do an informational alert type of setup where SSH is disabled on these hosts. And if I wanted to, I could come in here and basically take the opposite action. So I can enable SSH. I might need to go in and perform some type of admin action there directly on the host. We've all done that. You SSH into the host and perform the action and then disable it. But this customer wanted to be able to enable SSH from ops as well. And so again, I can simply click this button and it's going to enable SSH on that host. So I can go in and take care of that action. And then I'm protected by the alerts that I've got set up here that I will be notified that SSH is enabled, and then it'll get shut off
And
after
that's
an
all
hour.
programmatic through the API, not you're SSHing into the box in order to turn SSH on, because you can't do that, right? You can
That's
SSH
right.
into a box and turn SSH off. Yes, we know we can do that.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
so that's a really powerful part is, since we're not doing these things as just command line executions in an SSH and they're actually being API programmatically, we can do things like turn SSH on and off and other fun stuff like that.
Right. Absolutely. And
There is a great question popping up about compliance baselines and all that jazz. Hardening guides, etc. If you want to take a moment to walk through the security pane itself and the stuff beneath security, basically.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do that. In my environment, it takes a little bit of time to load here, but excuse me, the security panel here that's included as part of ops is going to show us some really basic functionality. And Christopher, is this the end all be all of security?
Absolutely not. It's hey, the way I look at it is it was a nice step in the right direction. It was showing some extra investment from a SecOps view, because at the time the only SecOps stuff we had was a forking within Salt. But the fact that we were driving more security operations in addition to our network operations function directly into VCF operations was exciting for me. Again, I want for more, but like me and Bob Plankers, we always want for more when it comes to security, right?
Bob's always wanting more, for sure. But this is this is also a great visualization of security components that you might be concerned about. So, for instance, we can see authentication actions that have occurred here. We can see our total logins. We can see failed login attempts. If we see failed login attempts spiking here, we could certainly alert ourselves. But a good visualization here that we're seeing that. And then user permissions being changed also, potentially an issue in the environment. We've got folks that are changing user permissions. If we see a change in what's normal here, that might also drive some investigative work there as well. And then Christopher, you mentioned the audit events. We do have
audit, hardening, etc.
Yeah. So there are some audit events that we can see in here that might be related to some of the compliance and hardening guides, but in the product itself, we do have some baseline functionality, some of the hardening guides that we include here, whether that be for vSphere, vSAN, or NSX. But we also have some of the industry standard security guidelines as well. So if you have a particular compliance level that you need to hit, whether that be for PCI, HIPAA, DISA, whatever that is, we can enable these compliance packs. And what that'll do, it's not going to make any changes to our environment. However, it is going to identify areas where things are potentially an issue related to these compliance scenarios, so that we can go in and correct those issues. So that is out of the box and something that's included here in ops as well. Christopher, talk to me. What else do we
I
what else we
I
see in
am.
there?
Oh, okay. There are some great general questions and pieces around TKG, VKS, Harbor, stuff like all that. I'll read some of them off to you. Harbor and DC and DR, which in the MZ, do we add another Harbor instance in the DMZ? How do I effectively manage an air gap? Harbor registry entries, which is three times. I was like, are there three different questions of it? Just stuff like that. Talk through some TKG related stuff because I know you love talking VKS and supervisors, right? That's what we're
You know
talking
it.
about.
You
I'm
know it.
remembering the words as I'm saying them.
Don't walk and chew gum,
Yeah,
Christopher. We don't want you
absolutely.
doing that. Hey, maybe that's a good entry into the demo
Into
that I've
this
been putting
amazing
together.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So this is a demo that I've been working through, and it's designed to show the cloud nature, the private cloud nature of the deployment here. And what I do is I'm going to leverage Terraform to deploy a VCFA blueprint that happens to be an Ubuntu desktop. I'm going to run that through Cloud Init and get it configured up, and then hit it with Ansible to update and upgrade packages, just to show that we do have, excuse me, that Ansible integration.
John,
I,
Ansible. I thought you're VMware. Why are you only talking about Vera? All right.
well, yeah, I mean, we have customers that use Ansible, so we need to be able to show that integration, and it definitely integrates into the product. So
I love it.
works very well. We also are going to seed that desktop with a SSH key so that I can clone a GitHub repo, and then that's going to provide my developer some YAML scripts that I can hit the supervisor with, whether that's a VM or some vSphere pods, to deploy both of those into a namespace that's configured for that developer. So, um, Christopher, that's my demo.
This is something you can you demo this? Is this something you want to show us?
I can certainly kick it off.
You
Let's see
got a
here.
minute or two at least, you know.
Let's okay.
There's someone asked a great question and I have the resource for it. I'm just trying to dig it up because I have all the resources. That's the problem is finding them so that way I can give you guys direct answers to some of these questions.
I'm gonna just make a quick change to this repo. VMUG's rocks, as we all know. So I am gonna commit that change real quick so we can check to make sure that our deployment worked properly as we expect. Let me jump over here into VCFA. These are the deployments that exist right now. So let me see if I can kick off this Terraform. Yep, here it's ready to roll. I do want to maintain Terraform state, so I'm going to prep this environment just to show what I've got here. I'm going to export a variable, and then I'm going to set up my backend to store that TF state that gets created. So let me just quick run that prep script. We're going to call this tfdev04. And this is my Terraform deployment of a VCFA blueprint. Let me do a quick plan here. I'm just doing a copy and paste. I don't think anybody wants to watch me type commands in. So the plan looked like it went well. So let's go ahead and just apply that Terraform with an auto approve. So we'll let that get cooking and come back to it, Christopher, here in a second.
That's the best kind of demos is live and coming back, all right?
Yeah, definitely. We'll come back to that. So let me check to make sure here in VCFA that we do. There we go. We have our deployment rolling. And so again, we're deploying workloads using Terraform in this environment. So there's no need for me to come in and touch these interfaces. I am looking at whether or not this is being deployed just to show that it's definitely working. And in fact, if we came over into our workload domain, we can probably see that it's not quite kicking off the template here, but it certainly will in just a second. So we'll get that cooking there at the behest of our audience. All right. What else you got over there? Anything good?
Go and show us one of your other cool pieces. show me some live knock dashboards, man. Show me some live. Show me some
You mean the
evil
live
dashboards.
dashboards?
Yeah, we haven't spent any time in the dashboards at all. Or if we have, I totally missed it. So you go in here and you type in live, right? Or live?
Right. No, I'm going to type in evil backwards.
All right.
Oh, live. I tell you what, before we do that, let's look at the ESX dashboard.
Oh, yes. That's one of my favorite dashboards.
Yeah.
And I want to, okay, this is important I mentioned this because this has come up on other webinars. Y'all know that vSphere 7 is end of support October 2nd, like in 2 weeks. And if you did not, y'all know that vSphere 7 is end of support in 2 weeks on October 2nd. And that's where this ESX configuration dashboard super comes in handy, because identifying those, and that's not these ones. This is the one just called ESX configuration. Where is it? You've got
Where
so
is that,
much.
dude?
You have so many dashboards, man. You have too many dashboards.
Where is
Oh,
that,
you're in
dude?
views. That's
Oh,
the
I don't need
problem.
to. Hey, that's a good point. So
That is a
there's
good
the
point. That's
views
why
and the
we weren't finding
dashboards.
the other piece, were we?
I'm
Yeah,
glad
so
you
yeah,
saw
there's
that.
views 6. That's why we couldn't
That's
find
the
the
one I
live one.
want. That's
We
right.
all make mistakes. John is the first one to make the mistake.
That's right. Probably not the last. So yeah, this is a handy dashboard to show us the different, like all these pizza pies. We want them to be consistent in our environment, just to make things easier to manage and monitor and all the things. However, I can see here in this dashboard that I have 3 different versions of ESX running in my environment. Probably not ideal. I've got different BIOS running. I've got different NIC speeds happening. We're all going to have that, but we want to try to make these consistent. SSH enabled. Again, Christopher, you like to say it doesn't matter which one it is, but they should probably all be the same. We have all of the direct console enabled, or yeah, so that's consistent. So that's good. The console shell is enabled on 2, and it's false on 2 and true on 8 there. So hyperthreading is also inconsistent. So this is a good dashboard for looking at consistency across the environment. And Christopher, identifying where those 7 deployments are, because they are there. All right, here are your live dashboards that you like to.
Like, where are the dashboards at? Like, what's going on? Because that's we don't need a.
Yeah.
This is not a troubleshooting call.
Yeah, but you did do some troubleshooting. That's helpful.
I read the screen.
Which one do you have a favorite dashboard?
I like heavy hitter VMs just because
Yeah.
you're more likely to find blood there. Hey, there's a
Yep.
lot of blood.
Yep.
Blood in the
So
water. If everything's green, it's green. Who cares, right? Move on. But if you see a bloody mess, there might be a problem, right? High disk
might be.
IOPS, high disk throughput, high CPU usage over in the other cluster, right? There's definitely some work to be had there.
Yep, absolutely. And we can see that summary up along the top there, and then dig into some of the details. So if I click on this this data center here, it's going to show me some data points below. I can see some IOPS, some throughput issues, potentially might be some packet dropping actually. That's those are packet transmitted. Okay, good. Yep. So some things that we can look at in these live dashboards. Now, Christopher, that these dashboards are updated every 20 seconds. Normally we take those 20-second pieces of information and consolidate them into a 5-minute average, so to speak. But these are actually
roll up, as is the fruit roll up, as it were, is the technical term. Yes.
fruit
Not fruit roll, but roll up is the technical term.
Yep. So we're going to roll these up, but these live dashboards are showing us 20-second intervals. And it does look like
20-second data, right? Based upon 13 key metrics that are collected to feed these dashboards.
Absolutely, you got it.
Right? I covered this in a couple, like maybe a dozen webinars in the last year.
Yeah. So these are your live dashboards that are there, and handy to look at. Again, out of the box, these are things that are out of the box. Not out of the box, Christopher, are some of the dashboards that our friend Brock Peterson posts in his GitHub repo that can be downloaded and imported into your environment. So for instance, this is one of my favorite dashboards that I look at a lot, this troubleshooting VMs. I could pick a specific VM and then it's going to show me metrics for that particular VM. We can do searches to find which VM has the most vCPUs, that type of thing, and then get more data on that particular item in most
You can even
cases.
find those ones that are running like old versions of VM tools. Because if you guys know, well, in the last few months, we released half a dozen VM tools update patches that please update.
Yeah.
Many of them security related. Please update.
Yeah, please update. Here's a VM details dashboard. I dig this one. It also is handy for showing me the VM OS that's running, something that might be of interest for you. We had a customer looking at storage performance recently, so I went out and downloaded one of Brock's storage performance dashboards and imported that into the environment, and I'm able to get a little bit better visualization on what the IOPS look like, for instance, across different workloads or clusters here in the environment. So good.
And that's useful for general storage performance, but also vCenter. Back at vCenter 8 would collect a number of vSAN metrics that would never send up to operations. And that's one of the changes inside of Ops 9 is actually collecting those extensive and more extended vSAN metrics and feeding them into Ops. So it made Ops even more better and more performant for vSAN, in addition to other storage profiles that we're typically collecting data for.
Yep, absolutely.
Where can you get those custom dashboard? Where do you remember where Brock's GitHub repo is?
Yeah, I can. I would have to do a little search for Brock's.
I'm gonna try to find it here as well. I just if you knew off the top of your head, I'd be like,
Well,
hey, because that was a good question that was asked, and I'm like, I forget where it is, so I'm gonna go and see if I can find it.
it's
If
Brock
not,
Peterson GitHub, and I click on this link here. There's our buddy Brock,
oh, look at
and
that.
then operations dashboards, which is a public repo, and there are a bunch. And so, Christopher, you and I always talk about, hey, should we create a dashboard from the ground up? No, not a good idea. Well, if that's your thing and you want to do it, go for it. However, these are a good place to start. Take these, clone them, and then modify them as you see fit. However, what you'll see when you download these, let me pick. Here's the compare VMs dashboard. So I'm going to go in here and then I'm going to download a raw file. What you're going to get when you do that is you're going to get a zip file. And that zip file is going to include both views and dashboards. So you'll want to unzip that main file. And then you're going to be left with additional zip files in there that are going to be the views and the dashboards. And so what you would do, and Christopher, we did cover this on a video recently, but just to reiterate, I'm going to go into my dashboards, and first I'm going to import the views. So I'm going to go to views, and then I am going to go to views, and I'm going to manage, and then I am going to import, and I will import the zip files underneath that master zip file that are
And
the
it actually
views.
works for zip files instead of back when it's like, yeah, but no, you got to extract the XML or whatever. So I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll import the views, and then once the views are imported, you'll go to dashboards, and you'll likewise go to manage, and then import the dashboards. So you'll download Brock's zip file, unzip that, import the views, the dashboards, and then once you're done with that, you can search for the name of the dashboard. In this case, I'll search for VM details. There it is. And boom, you'll get the dashboard. And then you can go in there and you can modify it as you see fit. You can clone it, which I would recommend before modifying it, and then go after it. Do some customization there. Christopher, also, this caught my eye. One thing in this version that I really like is once I have imported those dashboards, I can star them as a favorite, and I can also click this handy home button which will bring those dashboards into my home screen. So when I log in the morning, I'm automatically greeted with the troubleshooting VMs dashboard there, which is
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and you can have up to 5 home ones in addition to your like overview and launchpad. I love it.
exactly. You got it. You got it.
You've got about 10 minutes left, or about 9 minutes before that I throw up the final slide. Any other special things you want to be like, yeah, I mean, just check this thing out, or hey, this is a cool thing, or something that stands out to you inside of Ops, maybe inside of Vernie, or any and all the pieces, some of your favorite
Well,
highlights.
well,
You
I
want
think,
you want to show the changes to capacity management, don't you?
yeah, that's kind of where I was
That's where
going.
you were going. I thought you were going to go click on that.
Yeah. And yeah, so we've got our traditional ops abilities here in the platform. I can look at my different data centers that I've got. I can see that I've got some cost savings that I could potentially realize in those data centers and what those might be. Oh, look at this. I've got memory that is headed northbound, and it looks like around October 25th, I'm going to need some more memory. So, showing me capacity direction here, disk space. I've got a little time before we need to order some additional disk space. But where we see a lot of customers getting value is around the ability to optimize an environment. And like here, for instance, I've got some orphan disks. I might need to take care of these. What type of orphan disks do I have here? I've got some disks that are orphaned for 116 days that I might need to go take a look at. And an orphan disk typically occurs when I go into my vCenter inventory and I select to delete a VM, but hey, I don't want to delete it from inventory. I'm sorry, I don't want to delete it from disk. I'll go delete it later. Just delete it from inventory. I'll go get that cleaned up later. Well, later was about 116 days ago. So this is a great way to reclaim orphan disks. I can look and check on my snapshots. I might have things that, oh, look, I've got a snapshot that's 105 days old. Do I need that one? Maybe. That looks like it might have been a configuration of an appliance there. Some idle VMs. I might have some idle VMs that I can reclaim capacity for, that type of thing. And then go ahead.
Hey, did you finish your Terraform scenario that you
Yeah.
were running through? And the reason I
Yeah.
asked that is Aaron's going like, hey, I love the Terraform out there, but talk to me about Ansible.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's check in. So it looks like my Terraform deploy did get completed. So
You got formed. I love it.
we can check into that thing. Let's go look at it real quick. And I believe I know the IP address, but there it is right there. That's what it was given. So if I come in here to a terminal, I'm going to SSH into that thing.
Who's that Schulz guy? I don't know what's up with him.
So let's get into his desktop and see what happens here. All right, so I'm logging into that system that was just deployed, and just to make sure that this did make the git pull that or the git clone that I wanted to, I'm going to cat the README file that I modified. There it is. Oh, VMUG rocks. Indeed, it does. So that is so that's a clean pull of our clone or our repo there. We can go see some
Yeah,
Ansible.
can you show us like while you're here in automation?
We're glad that you're here. We do have a lot of.
Well, that was weird.
Looks like Erica's. I can hear Erica.
Well, no, that was me. That was me accidentally clicking on the
you?
link. That was sharing for somebody. While we're still here in automation, can you show how we integrate with components like Terraform, like Ansible, the infrastructure extensibility part? The part where you're going to say, "Hey, here's how I connected that thing." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I look so I'm in VCFA. I am in a VM apps organization. I could come in here and look at the integration. And so this is where I would add the integrations to different things.
Ansible Tower, Terraform, yep. And then I'm going to call out explicitly orchestrator, right? Because while, yes, Ansible, Terraform, Ansible Tower, well, Ansible Tower, Terraform. That's a great provider itself. If I had certain callouts and cases, hey, I've got these PowerShell scripts. I've got this Bash shell script I need to be able to execute and perform function on. Is there a way I can orchestrate that motion? Like, yeah, with Orchestrator, you can
Yeah.
do anything, as well
Yep.
as obviously the API programmatic stuff that we were showing before. Anything that can be done via API, you can basically do through here, including even command line D stuff, right? That's where I use the power CLI, PowerShell, or Bash shell script functionality using Orchestrator in that case.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So this is where those integrations would happen. And then I can take advantage of those in my design templates in here. So these are my blueprints for, I've got a desktop here that I can come in and I can go ahead and leverage that Ansible Tower integration right here in my blueprint to do things like, modify the configuration. I'm using a specific playbook here. I'm calling that playbook out for the specific Ansible workload that we want to leverage there. So that's the integration component right there is how we pull that into our blueprint.
So I'd say last pieces, how do people get started? How and why and where should they get started with operations inside their environment? If you had your last 2 minutes to talk about it before I steal your screen share away.
Yeah. Well, I think there are a couple things. Obviously, we mentioned that it can be deployed into your environment today and start collecting data. If you don't have that freedom to deploy it in your environment today, the hands-on labs, the VMware hands-on labs are a great place to deploy an environment that is fully functional and that you can go through and get familiar with the product there in the VMware hands-on labs is probably the easiest way to get it done. Christopher,
And
what other
those hands-on
recommendations?
labs have full guides, that guide you through everything basically, so that way you don't have to figure out what do I want to do here. You can do whatever you want, but in case you're not sure, you can go on a guided journey on it that gives you full access, not just like a click walkthrough, but hey, how do I get from step 1 to step 2 to step Z?
Exactly. Yep. Fully enabled manuals in there, and you can skip around from the modules. They're designed so that the modules are independent of one another. So if you get in there and you only knock out a couple modules, you can come back later, deploy a new environment, and hit modules 3 and 4. And
Yeah,
move
I
from
love
there.
that we've
So
got the PAFE ones and the vSAN ones to make doing those pieces that you may have been like, oh, I just not tenable or I'm not ready for it. I don't have the right infrastructure to be able to do that stuff inside those hands-on labs. Any last thing you want to show before I throw up the slide?
I think we've hit all of the highlights that
Then
I
show
want to
I'm
show.
showing.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. No, you
so I'm
guys
gonna
have been amazing and on fire with so many great questions. And I know that you're going to have more that comes out of it, but definitely check out hey, this was recorded so you can go back and watch anything we said, and you go back and check out the episodes 1 and 2 for a lot of great resources and data in there. Definitely check out our next month web. I mean, it's going to be 2 hours. William Lamb, williamlamb.com, Bob Plankers, John Nicholson, and more. I mean, it's going to be, and John will be there as well. John Schulz. That'll be an amazing cast of characters with the top experts around. Obviously, check out my newsletter for all the other stuff. Everything's free, right? We just want to make sure you're enabled, you're empowered, that you can be successful because we've all been you and we want to ensure your success. Your success is our success. So, any last parting words, John? And then I will hand it over to Erica because she's amazing.
I think we're good. Thanks for the opportunity, and again, be in Dallas for the UserCon, and then looking forward to saying hi and talking more about some of the VCF 9 features and functions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Erica?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to steal the screen.
What? Okay,
No.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. So thank you, everyone, again. This was really great content, and we're so grateful for Christopher and John for all of their time this month. Please make sure to register for the one next week. It is in the chat, and then you can watch all of the on-demands at that link as well. So thank you, everyone, again for joining. This session was recorded. You'll be getting an email about it after with all of the recording, and it's also available on the VMUG YouTube if you're impatient, can't wait for the email. Please fill out the survey. Once you close out of Zoom, it'll auto prompt you. This really helps us provide fresh, relevant content for you all, and we do listen on there, so please fill that out for me. It's just a couple questions. And then if you're ready to jump up to VMUG Advantage, our paid membership, you can use the code community for 10% off. It has helped so many advance in their careers, deploy things on a home lab, like we talked about earlier, before doing it in your full environment. And there's a lot of amazing discounts. vDefend, Avi Load Balancer, things like that are auto included in VMUG Advantage. So if you're on the fence, this is a great time and you get that little discount. So there's the QR code you can use to upgrade there. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And I'm gonna,
Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share. We
yeah,
love it all.
we'll see you guys same
See you
time,
guys
same
next
place
week.
next week. And all that to say, I think we're out. So I'm gonna stop
We love it.
and
Thank
end
you
it
guys
here.
so much.
You bet.
Fill out the survey.
Yes, please. Bye, everyone.